Welcome to this latest episode in our series of webinars targeted to the EMEA region. This one's focused on rapid application development, especially database-centric application development. Your presenters today will be myself, Pradeep Banat. I'm a Director of Product Marketing here at Actian, and I'm joined today by Bodo Bergman, who's an engineering architect. Bodo will be helping me with the Q&A primarily, or any questions that come along as we're presenting. Please feel free to use the Q&A tab to ask questions as we present, and we'll get to them at the end of the presentation. So those of you who aren't familiar with Actian, we've been around for a few decades now. 30 years ago, we started off as Ingress, and over the years, we've acquired multiple database technologies. We specialize in cloud data warehousing, application development, and data integration technology. And about 12 years ago, we got spun off by Computer Associates to become Actian. So we rebranded as Actian just a little while ago. Over the years, we've built up a customer base of more than 3,000 customers around the world with greater than 95% customer satisfaction. So that's a big strength of ours. We've built up a portfolio of more than 50 patents. I think it's 53 in total. And the ones we're most proudest of are the performance-related patents. And I'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. We're used by 24 of the Fortune 100, and at the bottom of the screen you can see some of our leading customers. Actin was actually acquired jointly by HCL and Semero Equity last year. So we're 80% owned by HCL, but still an independent company. So today we're going to talk about OpenRoad. OpenRoad is what's known as a rapid application development environment. It includes an IDE. It's a non-procedural development language and allows you to build end-tiered web-centric applications that are portable across multiple platforms. They scale really well thanks to our client server and end-tier deployment capabilities. When you build an application in OpenRoad, it's actually compiled into bytecode, so it's a portable format, and then that particular version, once you go to deploy, we can create object code that matches the execution environments such as Windows, Linux, AIX, and Solaris. And there's also an additional component called Enterprise Access, which allows the development environment to access Actian and non-Actian databases. So as I said, there's three distinct components to the product. The main one is the development workbench, which is our IDE. It lets you create these platform-independent applications. It provides a debugging environment. It lets you create object-oriented 4GL code. It also contains an interactive debugger, which we've extended, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And we have support for other applications to be able to invoke applications written in OpenRoad. You can build both fat clients, so running natively on an environment, or thin clients via a web browser. The OpenRoad server is an optional component. You can actually access the databases directly, especially when you're developing. But with the OpenRoad server, you can deploy applications and supports hundreds or thousands of users in a high performance fashion. We probably give you the administration utilities to be able to manage the client connections very efficiently. And you can basically run applications on whatever platform, Java, .NET, VB, etc. We support both XML in and out, and client accesses primarily via HTTP, DCOMs being de-emphasized right now. And in terms of on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see the three components together: the development workbench, the server, and the OpenRoad runtime, which allows you to create executable code on multiple platforms and deliver them securely. This diagram gives you another way to represent the architecture. So at the top of the slide, you can see the Windows development environment. There's also a client for Linux and Unix. And from the IDE, you can access JSONRPCs or databases such as Ingress, any Actin database, as well as Oracle and SQL Server. Actian's databases include Ingress, which evolved to Actin X, which is a hybrid OLTP and analytic database. It can also access Actin Vector, which is our analytic database engine, which runs on premises. And that same database engine is a component in our cloud solution, Cloud Data Warehouse, which is known as Actin Avalanche, and OpenRoad can be used to access all of those environments on premises and in the cloud. And in terms of accessing multiple users accessing your non-Ingress databases, they have to use the enterprise access component. Enterprise access basically allows applications to run accessing Oracle, SQL Server, or mainframe DB2 databases. We also have another gateway kind of product, which is called EDBC, which is the Enterprise Database Connector. EDBC allows you to access more proprietary mainframe databases, standard relational databases such as DB2, IDMS, which was originally written by Culinet, VSAM, and IMS, which is the hierarchical database. Actually used to be a VSAM, IDMS, and DB2 programmer. And the way that works is it makes non-Ingress databases look like Ingress databases to the development environment and the execution environment. It handles mapping the data types and translating the SQL language to the access method used by those foreign databases. In terms of customers, we have a lot of OpenRoad customers. A lot of them have been our customers for, going on to 30 years. Some of the more prominent ones are Lufthansa, Irish Revenue, basically built all their taxing systems using OpenRoad. Their database platform of choice is Ingress, and they also use a little bit of Actin Vector. Capita is a large government contractor in the UK, and they basically build applications for government departments. And so they've deployed OpenRoad applications across multiple government departments. HSS Hire is UK-based hire outlet. They basically will rent you anything from a sledgehammer to a cement truck. And they've built their entire ERP system using OpenRoad. The application is called Spanner, and it uses a foundation of Actin databases, again, Ingress or Actin X, and Actin Vector. You see also a lot of application developers here, such as Infor, and our roadmap's pretty much driven by the needs of these third-party application developers, which is mentioned at the end of this slide. So enterprise access, again, allows us to access, allows OpenRoad to access Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle databases, which we're committed to long term. In terms of versioning, the version numbers for OpenRoad have taken a big jump. The current version is version 6.2. We produce patches and enhancements on a regular basis for that. But the next major version is OpenRoad 11, which is going to give you the biggest feature of it is the web gen capability. This will allow you to build HTML5 applications which can be deployed on web browsers, which makes them a lot more portable than traditional applications. So you know anybody who's trained in OpenRoad 4GL can now build web apps, and more significantly JSON RPC applications. And we'll continue to develop the product to support multiple databases through ODBC, such as IBM DB2 and Postgres. And we'll be keeping up to speed with new versions of Oracle and SQL Server. EDBC is also being enhanced to keep up with the current versions of mainframe DB2, Datacom DB, and IDMS/IDMS-R. This screen basically gives you an idea of what generating a WebGen application looks like. There's actually 4 windows here. On the top left is where you you do WYSIWYG development of your screens. And below that is the view of the code you're accessing and the data types. And then in the middle of the screen is the actual application code that you can write. And on the right-hand side is a rendering of the application inside the web browser using port 8080. So you can see it's very straightforward to develop applications, a fully integrated development environment, which is why it's been popular for so long. And in terms of portability and national language support, this is a great showcase for UTF-8 support. And it also shows you how portable the application is. So if you write an application, you can deploy it as a native FAT client, which is what you're seeing on the right-hand side of the screen, running on Windows or Unix. And on the left-hand side, you can see the very same application deployed on a web browser. So yeah, it's a very powerful feature. We've recently made updates to our WYSIWYG, our editor as well. It does a better job of auto-completion now and formats the text better and highlights any syntax errors, etc. This feature has already been delivered in OpenRoad 6.2 as a patch, and I'll give you the GitHub URL for that access a little bit later. And yeah, so this is also, we've also improved the unit testing framework. OpenRoad has unit test capability already built in, but if you have, that's generally used for command line kind of applications or scripts that you invoke. If you want to invoke a more interactive session, like with a web browser, Smart Bear is a great way to do that, and we've tested the OpenRoad testing with Test Complete from Smart Bear. The biggest recent enhancement has been support for JSON and JSONRPCs. Now you can build applications that can be deployed as JSONRPCs. These are significant because you can create applications that run as web apps, and then you can invoke those from any environment, not just OpenRoad. You can actually, we built a whole series of demonstrations to show you what the kind of application you can build with JSON RPC, and there's a video on YouTube that Bodo did to demonstrate how to build and deploy JSON applications. At the bottom of this slide, you can see a link to the demos to basically get an idea of how to make the most of JSON RPC support. In terms of upcoming features, support for V6, so you can basically access OpenRoad from Visual Studio. And coming in the next quarter, in Q2, is the OpenRoad 11.1 version for Windows. And that includes that WebGen capability I mentioned earlier. It'll also include the Linux version and support to access REST applications, web applications, using non-JSONRPC approach as well. In Q3, we're going to extend that same support to Ingress running on non-Windows platforms, including Solaris Spark and AIX. And finally, in Q4, we'll be adding new controls to the WebGen environment for OpenRoad. In terms of gateways, what's planned is for enterprise access and enterprise database, EDBC. We'll be adding, extending our support for the ODBC databases that we access. Most significantly here is support for Actian's Zen Database, which used to be known as P-SQL. Zen is a small footprint database, so it can be used to deploy applications on mobile devices, on iOS, Android, as well as embedded applications. It's got a footprint as small as 2 megabytes. And the most significant thing about Zen is it has the same file format from its across platforms. So from an IoT device at the edge all the way through to a gateway device running Windows perhaps, you'll have the same file format, save you ETL. So if you're using any of its competitors like SQLite or flat files, now you have the opportunity to use real database, which can be accessed using SQL or key value access. Other support for databases will be Oracle 18c and 19c and SQL Server 2019. With EDBC, we'll be updating our support for mainframe DB2, version 12.1, Datacom DB, and IDMSR version 19. So that's the bulk of the updates. You can download the latest version of OpenRoad from our ESD site, which can be accessed by hitting the download button at actin.com. So just go to actin.com/downloads or click the downloads button from our homepage. And if you're looking at cloud data warehousing, we have a special offer right now. If you visit actin.com/avalanche, we have a free 30-day trial with a $500 credit on your favorite on Azure or on AWS. And if you're an existing Snowflake customer, we'll give you 50% off whatever your current Snowflake license is. So with that, we'll move on to the Q&A questions. Let's look at the Q&A queue. Bodo, I see a couple of questions for you. First one is, can you tell us more about Lufthansa?
Yeah, absolutely. Lufthansa Systems is building or using OpenRoad to build their Lido flight planning system. So Lido Flight 4D, I think, is one of the most effective flight planning solutions worldwide. And it's used to optimize the flights, the routings, in order to cost and fuel savings. And basically they include information like weather, the current weather information, or so-called NOTAMs, which are notice to airmen, which gives the aircraft pilots information of potential hazards. along a flight route, which could affect the safety of the flight. So they are actually have a system which is used by, I think, more than 70 different airlines to plan their flights. And that is written in OpenRoad and using Ingress databases. And of course, for a lot of calculations and interfaces to other systems, they use C. So OpenRoad is able to call C functions and others. So Lufthansa Systems is a long-term customer.
That's great, thank you. So there's a question about will the slides be available for download? Actually, we'll do a follow-up email, and that'll have a link to the recording, and it'll have a PDF of the slides we used today. Go ahead. Oh, somebody's asking about best places to get the software and learn about it. But Bodo, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so you can get the software also. There is a trial version, basically an evaluation version on the download side. So you could download it, contact sales to get the actual information. So you can download an evaluation version and then have a play with it for 30 days. And the documentation side, so that's docs.actian.com, contains getting started guide and the whole documentation you can download or view online. So the download side also contains links to download the whole OpenRoad documentation, including the getting started guide. And then we have on GitHub examples. So if you search for OpenRoad on GitHub, you will find useful examples for building OpenRoad applications.
Okay. It's probably also worth mentioning that we have a playlist on YouTube with OpenRoad content you can follow on the Actin channel. If you have general questions, would like to learn more about OpenRoad, see a demo, please feel free to email us at asa@actian.com. And I don't see any other questions. So with that,
I just see one.
Oh, go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So there was a question about the architecture slide, which suggests that you could only use the OpenRoad clients with the OpenRoad server. And the question is there direct client access to the database? And the answer to that is, yeah, absolutely. So the architecture slide was kind of an overview, but OpenRoad applications can also directly access the database without the OpenRoad server. Yeah, so you can directly connect to the different databases, Ingress, Vector, the different other databases using the Enterprise Access or EDBC. And an OpenRoad application can actually connect to multiple databases. So there are multiple database sessions within one client application. So you could also have database sessions to Ingress and another database at the same time.
Oh, that's pretty powerful. That's really hard to do in 3GL.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I don't see other questions. If you have more questions, please feel free to email us, and we'll follow up as soon as we can. With that, I'll close. Thank you, Bodo, for helping us with the Q&A, and thank you everyone for spending time with us today.